Walk us through what the next steps are for the Trump administration as pertains to the Alien Enemies Act. And really, when it comes down to it, we got to get these people out of the country. And I think people just want to see the faucet turned back on. I want to see the planes taking off of the runways. I need more C-130s going up. I need them every day.
Yeah, so I expect this administrative stay will get lifted by the Supreme Court by the end of the week, if not early next week. Administrative stays are by their nature temporary. They're not based on any decision on the merits. So they're to give the court time to think for a second. That's the basic way to think about them, to prevent before the status quo changes. So I think that'll get lifted. The DOJ will have to appeal this district court holding about the Alien Enemies Act being not properly invoked, or the invocation being invalid. So that has to go through appeal. That has to get stay. The injunction against the administration will have to get stayed itself. So there's a few things that have to happen if the court is going to, if the Trump administration is going to get these Alien Enemies Act deportations to continue. The sort of interesting thing is it really depends on what kind of hangups the Supreme Court and these other courts put on the Alien Enemies Act. Could mean that it's no longer the most efficient way to get people out of the country, because depending on what kind of individualized determinations are required and how much notice is required, it might just be more efficient to remove them based on the fact that they're simply illegal immigrants and go through the normal removal process.
So rather than create this separate process to fast track it, it would create like a double the overhead, basically, in terms of administrivia. So might as well just leave them on the same track anyway, which they're already speeding up. I mean, look, I said this before, I was kind of cracking a joke about it, but back when we were at the Eagles games in last year, and we got sent to Eagles jail, they used to have so many fights at the Eagles Stadium that they would just have a magistrate that was basically there at the stadium to adjudicate all of these things that would go on. I said, look, just have them go out. In Poland does this, by the way. What Poland does to get around some of this stuff, not to get around it, but just from a practical matter, they'll have a magistrate judge go out with Border Patrol so that when they catch somebody, they can actually have the hearing right there. Here's your hearing. Here's your due process. You have, you're making a claim. Okay, you have no way to back that up, and off you go. And it's something like that. So there are very creative ways that we can all get with this, and there are lots of best practices. Oh, I see they're showing the picture of me and my brother in Eagles jail yet again. We were not arraigned. We were able to walk free of our own recognizance. The other people, of course, ended up in the hospital. But Will, do you think there are perhaps creative measures that could be employed here?
Yeah, I think it's as simple as you have to realize that due process does not mean the same thing in all circumstances, and that the non-citizens are not entitled to. If you're saying a non-citizen is entitled to due process, doesn't mean they're suddenly entitled to a full trial and proof beyond a reasonable doubt. No. You're an illegal alien. There's a great law review article on this by a former Judge Henry Friendly, who said you're entitled to some kind of hearing, and what that looks like can be very, very truncated and very, very limited. And I wouldn't be surprised to see that, basically a kind of new process formed where, we should actually spend a lot more money on immigration judges, get more immigration judges, more immigration courts going, and more efficient processes where, you get your 5-minute hearing where, the judge looks at you and is like, did you cross illegally? Yes. Do you have any legal right to stay in the United States? No. Get on the plane. Like, really keep it that simple.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. If you want the due process, I'm fine with that. I was on Piers Morgan last week, and I kind of broached the same thing. I said, look, I'm all for people doing the due process, but at the same time, there are millions of people that were led into this country by the previous administration. That's the context. That's what the president was elected to do, to remove illegals from the country. So we're going to find a process to be able to put this together, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen.